This is White Mountains Today on Outside. It is October, it is that time of year, and we're going to get a little supernatural on the show. We want to know where in the White Mountains we might find either places that are haunted or have some supernatural stories to go along with their other stories. And for that, we've brought in the expert. He is Bob Cottrell. He's the curator of Conway Public Library's History Room. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Good to be here.
One of the most tragic stories that has come out of the White Mountains is that of the Willey family in Crawford Notch. Tell us, let's share the tragedy of the Willeys.
Okay, so in August of 1826, the Willey family, who had settled in Crawford Notch, there had been, like our August recently, lots of rain. And they were very aware of the possibility of a landslide or a mudslide. And so in the mountains, so they thought it would be safe to move to like a cave or some other place, a root cellar or something. Oh, and here's Crawford Notch. That's where it happened, right in that area. Now notice the shape. See the wide U shape?
Yeah.
And then you see the base. It's about a half a mile open. It's very wide and open at the bottom. So, so what happened is these are 4,000-foot mountains on either side, and a rock slide came down, and there's a big boulder or ledge just above where the house was, and the site is still there, and the part of the cellar foundation is still there, and so you can go and you can see it. And all this rock and mud and everything like that came down, hit that ledge, and split and preserved the house, but it buried all the family. And the next day people came looking for him, and the Bible was left open, the candle had burned down, and the dog was howling mercilessly.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Just
That's the
crazy.
last thing you want to hear is any tragedy that involves
the
a
dog. Yeah.
So the tragedy is like the family left their house to seek shelter and safety from the landslide, where if they had just stayed in the house, they would have been fine.
And there was so much about it. Nathaniel Hawthorne wrote a story about it. There were lots of sketches and paintings, and it was in the paper all over the place. And the idea is that if you think of the more religiously conscious mindset of people during that time period, and the idea of what they call domesticity, if they had only stayed in by the sacred hearth of the family home, by the fireplace, they would have been fine.
Yep.
But they feared, and you're not supposed to fear death. You're not supposed to, you're supposed to be happy about all that. And so they did the wrong thing. They went away and went into nature, and of course were punished.
Yes.
And it's just like a train wreck. You can't avert your eyes.
Yeah.
You want to go see it.
Yep.
And so this was one of the biggest things that started the tourism industry here. People came up, and so they turned the house, and they added on to it, and they built a big hotel.
Right.
And then there were other hotels at the beginning and at the end of the Crawford Notch and stuff. And so this is one of them I find very interesting stories. This is 1839. Thomas Cole, again, with his buddy Duran, came up, and they did sketches, and then they went back to their studio. Now, what's interesting, they came in July. So he made this painting look like a fall color because it would sell better. But if you go to the National Gallery of Art, the website, they say this is an illustration of the Willey slide. And what's going on is you have these horrible clouds coming in, you have all these dead trees, you have the horse that one author said is shying from the danger that they see. But look how narrow that notch is. And I'm sure most of your audience would know that.
I was just on top of that yesterday. That looks like the view, not from the Willey slide, which is like in the kind of the base of Crawford Notch, but from above the notch on the, what is now, if you were at the AMC Highland Center, looking down into that. That's Elephant Head right there.
That's Elephant Head right there. National Gallery of Art, Smithsonian, Princeton, Harvard, College of William Mary, all say this is a landscape of terror. And if you Google Vibe magazine, Landscape of Terror, you'll see an extensive article about this.
Yep.
They're all wrong. I'm right.
Yeah. That is not the
That
side
is
of the
not
Willey
the
slide.
side of the Willey slide.
Although I will say, sometimes I feel like that is almost a more, when you look from down the notch from that
Yes.
point, and then
Yes.
the narrow
Yes.
kind of opening.
It's
through
very
the notch,
sublime.
It does give you that kind of sense.
It gives
of
you the
like
Willies.
terror. It gives you the Willies. Whereas the base that the Willies were in, it's dramatic, but not quite as dramatic
Right.
as that.
This, go to the Conway Public Library,
That
above the circulation desk. This is Charles Codman's painting of the Willey slide. That's the Willey
Yes,
house.
yeah.
And there are two people walking along this. These are 4,000 footers.
Yeah.
And this is that U-shaped valley.
Yep.
This is the basalt dike that we
Yep.
talked about. This was filled with basalt and it eroded out. And of course now they've blown it bigger and put a train and stuff through there, train line through there. But if you ask your meteorologist, if a storm is coming, as this says, does the mist rise out of the notch?
Probably not.
What's creating the mist? The fog.
Well, the Saco River does run through there.
Yeah, but I mean, what weather-wise creates fog? What created this wonderful fog this morning?
Temperature.
Temperature difference.
Yeah.
Cold, hot, and wet. This storm is going that way. These trees are just killed by beavers, by a beaver dam.
Yep.
It's nature. It's natural. This horse, I understand, was very upset to be told that it was scared. It's not scared. That's the gait of that type of horse.
Yep.
This is actually the exact opposite of a landscape of terror.
Yep.
It is a landscape of hope
Yep.
and future, and the tree that's cut and the other trees that are cut. The idea of turning the land into providing agriculture and tourism and all this kind of stuff. It's just amazing how people interpret exactly the opposite. So that's one of the things we like to do, is really figure out what's going on.
This is fascinating. Yeah. We've been talking with Bob Cottrell, curator of the Conway Public Library's History Room. So many fascinating stories of the supernatural and also man's constant struggle against the wild. If you want to find out, if you want to visit some of these spots on your own, you can visit thecleo.com, where you'll find all these historical markers and all these fascinating places that have just supernatural and non-supernatural histories. And we'll also link to it on our website, whitemountains.tv, so you can go visit some of these spooky places yourself during this Halloween season. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're watching Outside.